So in the previous tutorial, we talked about how to set up new routes, create new controllers, and what we can return from a controller, as well as what we can resolve from a controller. I'm not sure if I said it in the last tutorial, but when you pull something from the container, it's called resolving. So you're basically taking the parameter list and resolving each dependency that you need for that controller. All right, so this is known as dependency injection. And it's a design pattern designed to make code more testable, as well as loosely couple your concrete implementations from your dependencies. So in this tutorial, we're going to talk more about what we can do with routes and a couple of more advanced things that we could do inside our controller. So let's stick to this controller here, which was linked to here. And something that we might do is, just to clean this up, let's make these string controllers again. And this should be an act. So you see here we have a hello world /2. So the /2 we might want to be a little more dynamic, right? We might want to pass in the ID of a model or some kind of slug or something. So for that, Django might have something like, I forget what it is exactly, but it's something like that, and then you do like some kind of P thing, and then some kind of like ID here. So for like regex routes. So for Masonite, you just pass in whatever you want your ID to be, or your parameter to be called, and this will make sense in a little bit. So let's just call this ID for now. And let's just hit this route again. So let's serve again, and let's see what we get here. Okay, that still works. Now, if we go to our hello controller, this is what was just being returned. And if we go here and we say from masonite.request import request, we can now come here, request. So we could just say the ID is, and we could just do some string interpolation here. So request.param is ID. So this ID here will be whatever we called it here. So if this said number, then this would have to say number, because we're getting the parameter that we supplied. So let's go ahead and refresh, and we'll get the ID is 2, because we passed that here. So if we say 5, that is 5. If we say 10, that's 10. So that's how to pass in parameters here. So what we also might want to do is we might want to pass in what this type is. So let's say we only want to accept integers. And if we go here, this should still work, but if we pass in something like Joe, it doesn't work. And we'll get this 404 not found. Now, if we go back to our web.py, let's try to see what else we could do here. So actually, this can be int, it could be string, and those are really the only two options here. So if it's string, if we go back, it'll accept Joe, but it won't accept 1. So if we go here, this might look a little bit cumbersome. That's because it sort of is. So what we have is we have helpers. So we have a get and a post helper. So with this, it basically takes over this spot. So we could say get, which kind of shortens this down a bit. So if we go back, this should still work, right? Everything works here. Remember, because we passed in a string. And what we could do also is create route groups. So notice here that this has a hello and this has a hello. And the name is hello and the name starts with hello. All right, and you'll see this a lot. You might have something like hello.show, hello.world, hello.store, and stuff like that. So what we could do is we could import a route group. And in here, we just have a route group and we return a list here. So we can take these and just move them up a bit. Okay, so now this is inside of a route group. And if we go ahead and say, we could say craft show routes, you'll see we have a hello world and a hello world this, right? So we have all three. But we have a little redundancy here. So this, again, this starts with hello, this starts with hello. So what we could do is we can say prefix is equal to hello, and then we can get rid of that. Okay, so if we go show routes again, we still get the exact same thing. And if we said hello again, right, we show routes. Now we have hello, hello. So all it did was prefix the route here. Now again, we have a hello.show and a hello.world. So we can say name is hello dot, and then we can get rid of that. So we're starting to really clean this up. All right, and again, we get the exact same thing. So it's hello.show, hello.show, and hello.world, hello.world. So there's other things you could do that we'll talk about further, but you could do things like, right, like make all of these have middleware. This might have an auth middleware or a user middleware or something. So this is likely what you're going to be using. You're going to be using a lot of these route groups. And these route groups are really powerful because you can actually take this route group and put it inside another route group. And let's see what our routes look like now. So you now see we have a hello world, our normal stuff, which was in this route group. But you see here we have a hello, hello world because it used prefix here. And then when it came on the outside, it used another prefix. So you basically have a outer group and an inner group, and it kind of works from the inside out. So the reason why that's good is you might not want to have prefix all of these, but you might want to have this entire group to have a certain type of middleware. So this could be, this can all have an auth middleware. And if we show here, now all of these, this needs to be some kind of iterator or a tuple or a list. So now all of these have a auth middleware instead of having to supply it on each one. Right? So this would be how to do it on an individual level. So now this one has a middleware. So we might want to have this one have a middleware of a user, right? This group. So you could have this whole group will have a auth middleware. You could have this whole group have a user middleware and an auth middleware because it works from the inside out. So you could really structure your groups around there. If you don't like this weird route group name, you could say as group if you want to maintain all these helper structures. You could have this, and you could just have that say group. So now it looks like everything's sort of a helper. So if we go back to our controllers now, we might need to get some kind of input. So let's say we have here, we might have hello world, let's say name is equal to Bob. And we just have to make sure our server's running. All right, so this hits, but we're not actually getting this input at all. So this might be, form inputs or anything else. So to get that, we can say input is, and we'll just have there, and then we'll also format to say request.input, whatever the input name is. So this is name, and we'll say name. Let's go back, and input is Bob, and input is Bill, right? You can keep going, John. And if it doesn't exist, it'll return false. So that's a little more in-depth on how routes and controllers work. All very, very basic, but powerful at the same time. So one last thing before we go is we've talked about get and post, but we also have put, patch, and delete. And these all work exactly the same way as get. So we might have this as a get route. We'll say we have a get world. We might want to have also a post world. All right, so this is for post requests. We could have for put requests. And this might be at put. So same controller, but using a different method. And this might be put.show or something. as well as up here. So we might have, right, get, post, put, patch, and delete. And remember that anytime you use these class-based ones, you'll need to do the old get.route or put.route. And that's it for this tutorial. I'll see you next tutorial.